Welcome back to the Crunch My Numbers podcast. I'm your host, Paul Redmond, and in today's episode, we're diving into a crucial strategy, not just for every business owner, for every person and entrepreneur out there, and that is, what is your freedom number? Now, we're going to explore and determine what a freedom number is, and we're going to explain to you how this will help you understand your journey and what's ahead of you and give you a pointer ahead into the direction, into the future. For me, this is something I have always struggled in some way with, was determining what my own personal freedom number was. But I think if you go through this, you will get some clarity around where your journey is and what you're trying to achieve. I suppose the first big problem in this is, what is a freedom number, and understanding what it means. And there's a load of people saying, what's your retirement goal, or what are these other goals? We just happen to call this freedom number. And it's not just a number for financial success. The number can apply to anything in your life. So a number can apply to your health. Are your health numbers okay? Are your health numbers in line with where they should be? Have you got your blood test done recently? It can be a financial number. What's your freedom number in terms of how much do you need to earn on a weekly basis to cover your costs? Then how much can you add into your savings, and how much can you plan for your retirement? So it's about more than just the financial aspect of it, but it will, everything you have in your life and every goal that you have set in your life and every system you set for achieving that goal needs to have some kind of a number attached to that, so that we can actually work towards that number. The number then, whereas you'll have one overall number that might not change that much, but you will change the strategies and the tactics on an ongoing basis in order to achieve that number. So for me, the big problem then when I'm looking at this is I'm talking about the financial fog. So if we focus a little bit through this thing and focus a little bit on the financial numbers that is attached to somebody's life. And again, as I say in nearly every podcast, your financial number will differ depending on where you are in your life, and depending on whether it's a personal financial number you have in terms of day-to-day living in your family, or it's a business financial number that you have in terms of what numbers you're trying to achieve as an entrepreneur within your business. And you can see where there is so much attached to this, that what we're trying to do is demystify and get rid of this thing called the financial fog. So people get stuck in this financial fog, and what happens is then, when you have no target in sight, you're drifting and you're just, as someone said, it's like sailing without a compass. You're moving, but you've no idea where you're heading and what your final destination is. And as someone said, the vast ocean represents endless possibilities, but without a destination, you're going to drift aimlessly. So if we use that metaphor in terms of our financial number and clearing the financial fog. So what is the current challenge with this? The first thing is lack of clarity. The second thing is overworking, and the third thing is stress and burnout. So without knowing the exact number needed, it's challenging to make informed business decisions. So if you're trying to move through the four different stages of business again, which is startup, growth, scale, and harvest, each of those stages, as we said previously, comes with their own particular issues and opportunities, and as you cross the bridge from one to the other, it comes again with all your own challenges that you have there. So you can see how not having clarity around what you're trying to do. So if you're trying to grow your business by 10% and you don't really understand what the number is, therefore then you can't do that. So it's challenging, and then that comes because once you don't know the number, you're pushing yourself to the brink and you're still not achieving the lifestyle or business growth you require because you're working the whole time and have no plan. And stress and burnout and mental health are the biggest issues we have going on in the world today in terms of running a business. And it's not just your own mental health, it's the mental health of all the people that are associated with that. And when we're talking to people, we don't know what their struggles are. We don't know where their journey is. But I can promise you something else. Clearing this financial fog will actually help you achieve so much more, but it will help with your mental health and it will help with your stress and burnout. And that is why I like to when I'm looking at discovery and sitting down with people initially, we always like to start as one of the things on discovery is to identify a person's financial number. When we're discovering what the financial number is, we need to understand that The solution to determining the financial number is there's a specific amount of income you need to achieve personal freedom and fuel your business growth. So a freedom number, in the way I look at it, covers two things. It covers your personal freedom number, and it also covers your business freedom number. So the personal freedom number is the income required to support your desired lifestyle. And that means you're covering all your personal expenses, all your saving, all your leisure activities, all your retirement planning, and all of your freedom that you have around your own personal financial life. The business freedom number comes in a few different areas as well, because it comes in understanding what your operational costs on the day-to-day are. It understands what your investment needed for growth, and it understands what you need for advancement within the business and to create wealth and retirement planning for yourself. So there's operational freedom numbers on a day-to-day basis, and this discovery of this thing is discovering your operational freedom number for both of those. And what's the benefits? If you do have these freedom numbers, where do the benefits come? And is it worth your while actually even considering looking at a freedom number? Well, the benefits for me when I achieved mine was a very clear financial target and a precise income goal. Now, and we're talking about an operational income goal and a personal income goal. I cannot overestimate how important it was for decision making when we have those numbers, because that for me, obviously people that say you're an accountant and you love numbers, that is partly the thing, but it's a kind of universal language. The number one is the same as the number one anywhere in the world. You know, the number a million is the same as the number anywhere in the world. Now, it will mean a lot depending on where you're living, like €1 million in some of the third world countries is inconceivable to somebody, but it's all relative. So informed decision makings and better work-life balances are some of the real benefits of having the freedom number and having the clarity around those operational ones at the very, very outset. We've worked with a number of people, and just, for instance, we worked with a person recently who wanted to generate 50,000 more annually in their business. And we were able to map out that number based on what they were attempting to achieve. And we were looking at that number and seeing what kind of a freedom it would give. So we were able to apply strategies. We were able to go back to our 3 areas, like our 3 milestones: discovery, planning, and execution. And it all stems around having the number, and the number that makes sense to you personally. And there's no point in sitting down and someone else picking your number. You have to pick your own number. Do you know what I mean? You can't get anyone else to do your press ups. Unfortunately, you have to do them yourself. I have tried and it didn't actually work. So on the basis of the next thing I want to talk about is, how do you go about calculating this? If you're looking to calculate what your freedom number is, I would look at it again in 2 separate areas. And then we can break down those separate areas into further areas afterwards. But for the moment, we're going to look at the 2 areas we're talking about: your personal freedom number and your business freedom number. They're the 2 big freedom numbers you need to have. And what I would say is, when you're looking at this, think of it as if you're creating the plans for building a house. So you have your dream house out there, you have your vision board up, you have the picture of your dream house, and people will know every aspect of every room they've built in that freedom house. And it's something that everybody does. The majority of people will go on the property ladder. The majority of people will get their own mortgage and build their own house. And anybody who's recently or gone through getting a mortgage for their personal home will understand the amount of work you need to go through just to achieve that. And you will know your personal freedom number when you're applying for a mortgage. But when you have this, so you're trying to craft your own masterpiece in terms of your personal freedom number. So we'll go through 3 areas. You have your personal expenses, which include housing, utilities, food, transport, education, healthcare, leisure, savings. They're the personal expenses. Then you'll have these desired enhancement lifestyle expenses, which may include vacations, hobbies, saving for holidays, saving for events, weddings, all of that stuff. They're lifestyle numbers. And the total personal freedom number is the sum of those 2. Now, that's again operational. But I also want people to take a step back and ask themselves, when I get to the stage of having this personal freedom number, how much do I need to put by in this freedom number so that I can retire or I can stop working. I don't like the word retirement, but I can actually stop working at a point in time and have enough income to live on. And so, what is that long term number? Are you looking to grow £1 million or euros or whatever the currency or dollars into your retirement savings so that at the end of the retirement, you're going to have enough income to live on for the next 20 years? So, as you can see, that the freedom number, we're looking at operationally, but I also want you to have in the back of your mind, pick a number, and it's the number that comes to your head. And when you pick that number, whatever that number is, I want you to at least 5x the number that you think it is. And just write that number down and have it there. We'll work on that again in another episode, but that number is something that you have into the distance that you're looking to achieve. The next thing I'm going to say is look at your calculating your business freedom number. Now, this comes with a little bit more work and a little bit more thought needs to be put in it, because your business freedom number will include your personal freedom number. So whatever that personal freedom number, your business need to provide that for you. So that's why we always start with the personal side of it first and then build it in. But like, you need to list in your basic business freedom number, that personal won't be in, but you also need to list your business expenses. And they're your fixed overhead costs. That can be salary, rent, utilities, marketing, any other operational costs that you have. You need to build in your salary and your team's salary. You need to build in the growth. So if you look at your business again at one of the 4 stages, where are you? How can we grow? What's the cost of that growth to the business? And how do I actually understand that if I'm here and I want to get from A to Z, what do I do with the rest of the letters of the alphabet? How do I plan each of the letters of the alphabet to get to that stage? And this is the revenue your business needs to generate annually, is that total business number. And it's for a defined period of time. Again, your business and your personal, your total freedom number is different. That's the combined of both of those. If your business expenses are 200 and your salary, you've 80k in salary, that's 280, and you want 20 for growth, your business freedom number is 300 annually. It's a simple exercise, but there's a lot of thought needs to go into it. And we like to spend a good bit of time with people determining what those numbers are, because that helps with planning everything else in your life. So if I'm to say to you, what are the action steps that you really should take when you're building all this together? The first thing is just accept that the freedom number is important. And I'm just briefly going to touch on other areas of your life where a freedom number might fall into place. We talked a little bit about health. So that freedom number for health means, are all your markers where you need to be? And that means, as we talked many times here, go get a blood test and understand what those numbers mean. And it's important, as we live in a world today, there's so much information. Speak to your medical professional and ask them to explain the numbers to you. And what can you do to improve your own health numbers? It may be that you expect that you want to lose a certain number of weight with it. That's something I always do myself. I've figured out how to weight gain, no problem. I've figured out weight loss. It's the weight maintenance for me is the number that I'm always struggling with. But each person will have their own area of weakness within this. But think of freedom numbers for relationships. And someone say, how the hell does that apply? How can a freedom number apply to a relationship? Well, a story I heard very recently, and it's a story that's extremely poignant. If you're a person, say you're in your 40s, and say your parents are in their 60s, and say the average life of somebody is 80. So your parents have 20 more years of life ahead of them. And you're sitting here and you're saying, what's freedom number, life, health? Just bear with me on this for a second. So if you have emigrated and moved out of the country, and you maybe see your parents once every 2 years, for instance. Let's say, I don't know, let's make it simpler. Let's say you see your parents 3 times a year, right? That 3 times a year that you're going to see your parents 20 years, you've 60 more face-to-face conversations with your parent. Now, that can be very revealing, and that freedom number is really, really, really important. Or if you have a parent or a grandparent, and this applies particularly to grandparents, and your grandparent is getting elderly, and you're saying to yourself, well, I'm going up every week to see my grandparent. Based on stats and numbers and freedom numbers, they have 5 years left, and you see them 3 times a year, right? That's 15 more times you're going to see. Now you can understand how the freedom number can apply to relationships. because that's a very, very poignant thing for somebody to actually sit down and understand themselves. And it's something that when people sit down, because people didn't realize it and they don't even think about it in the context of that. So the conversations you will have with the people that you love and care about become extremely important. And somebody looking at this once said to me that they were only seeing their parents 3 times a year, but they actually made a big effort at going to see them once a month, which quadrupled the amount of time that they had with the people that they really care about. And nobody can predict when they're going to pass away, but that just explains what a freedom number is and how it actually works out. So I suppose really to clarify all of this, to put the action steps in place, the question I'm asking, are you ready to take control of your freedom numbers? And if you are ready to take control of them, you need to schedule some time to define what that clarity looks like. And we're talking about the 3 areas: health, wealth, and relationships. So what are your freedom numbers under each of the 3 headings? So you need to set aside some dedicated time to focus on it. And you need to work with somebody like myself or some of my team here in RDA who can help you calculate these freedom numbers. So you schedule the time, you do a bit of background work on it yourself, you have a good feeling for it. Then you calculate your personal one, and then you determine your business one. And then what you need to do is strategize and analyze those numbers and make sure they fall into place. So I suppose we're coming to the end of this short talk, but I do want you to understand how important this is, and it's important in all areas of your life. So it's the compass that helps you navigate towards whatever dreams and lifestyles that you have into the future. And if you transform vague goals like I want to lose weight to I want to lose 10 pounds in 5 months, or it transforms I want to grow my business to I want to be completely debt-free in my business and personal life in the next 5 years, the clarity of that will massively, as I said, improve your chances of achieving where I believe and where everyone really that has these goals believe that they can achieve. So in the next episode, we're going to look at designing your blueprint for growth. I'm really excited to talk to you about that because it moves on from the discovery phase into the planning phase. So thank you so much for listening, and we will chat to you in the next episode.